Tyson Foods is laying off thousands of workers after announcing that it is shutting down a factory over in Nebraska. Now, Nebraska is going through a lot of different things right now across the United States, and a lot of this we can attribute it to Trump policies. But at the same time, this is crazy to see what is happening within rural America as we speak. But guys, they are laying off and shutting down this entire factory, and this is specifically over in Lexington, Nebraska, and they're going to be laying off around 3,000 workers, right? 3,000 workers. And in this facility, they did say that early this month, cattle costs for the 2025 fiscal year that ended in September, they rose by nearly $2 billion. Now, when we talk about the policies, when we talk about everything that's going on, we know beef prices is through the roof, and we do know that Trump announced that we're buying more beef from countries like Argentina, as well as donating billions of dollars as well. Compared to the year prior, the company also reported an adjusted loss of $426 million from its beef business on the year. This is crazy. And I think we covered a bunch of Tyson food losses, but at the same time, it's crazy to see this all unfold. And then they also said on Friday that it is moving this Amarillo plant in Texas as well. So they're going to cut down a shift within Texas. So I don't know specifically what is happening at Tyson Foods, but we do know that they are struggling from a lot of these prices. And this is what I mean when I say rural America is falling apart, because in this town, in this Lexington, Nebraska town, I think they have like 12,000 workers, 12,000 citizens total, residents within the city. And, to see how it is already affecting the cities like this, you're working on thin ice, because a lot of these cities, a lot of these rural counties have only like one factory that pretty much everybody within the city works for. And then, everybody else kind of fills in everywhere else within the city. But I'm not saying that's specifically what happened there, but that's really what happens within a lot of the states within, the country. But anyways, I got more videos that's going to blow your mind. Let's check this out, guys.
Su cierra la compañía de Tyson Foods en Lexington.
Now, this video right here is in Spanish, but you can see all of the workers that are walking out of this factory right here. All of the workers, like, this is when they shut it down. This is the layoff. They just announced that they are cutting off, and you see all of these people. These are real Americans, guys. These are people, working American citizens that are like just gone. They're gone. They don't have a job, and now they got to find a place. Either they got to move or find a new location, or I don't know. That's the thing. Like, what do you even do in this situation when you get laid off like this? And it's abruptly, but at the same time, you also have farmers who are dealing with the impacts as well.
Tyson shutting down a plant isn't an accident. It's what happens when four corporations run America's entire meat supply like a cartel. This isn't market conditions, it's corruption, and it's bought and paid for influence. It's decades of political donations and lobby money letting the big four do whatever the hell they want. And when they close a plant, ranchers get crushed, and consumers pay more, and communities collapse. And the monopoly gets even tighter. This is the game. Choke out competition, shrink processing options, and force the entire country to rely on a handful of companies, some of which aren't even American owned.
Yep. And then we see this unfold right now, especially as farmers start to go out of business across the board, because we've seen so many farming bankruptcies within 2025 has skyrocketed, and we've covered this many different times. But to see what it's going to look like after, let's just say 5 years, maybe even a decade. And by all means, I'm not a farming expert, but what I can say is the way that they are pushing a lot of farmers out of business with a lot of these decisions, it's got to be seriously studied, because I think we're going to see a huge rise of a lot of private companies that are going to be taking over this entire industry.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and I am the daughter of one of the over 3,000 Tyson Foods workers that were told that the Tyson plant in Lexington, Nebraska would be shutting down. Let me tell you a thing about my dad. My dad moved to Lexington in the 90s and began working at Tyson. During his over 25 years of service for the Tyson company, he met his wife and had 4 kids. My dad has dedicated his adult life to the Tyson plant in Lexington. He has missed birthdays, funerals, family events, and more because of his work. I am the daughter of one of the thousands of people affected by this, because it's not just affecting those employed by Tyson. It's also those working the night shift to clean Tyson. It is the truckers that transport the cattle. It's the mechanics and other men and women whose jobs, in one way or another, are tied to Tyson. Senator Deb Fischer's statement on her disappointment is not what we need. A year ago, it was said on social media that Nebraska would go bankrupt under this administration, and we are seeing those effects today. The CEO of Tyson, Donnie King, made $22.7 million last year, and yesterday, November 21st, 2025, he told over 3,200 workers in Lexington that the jobs would be gone by January 20th, 2026.
Yep. And these are the families. These are the stories. These are the citizens that are being affected by this. Now, the one thing I will say that I've noticed is a lot of the workers are of Hispanic descent. I'm not saying that that's what they are doing and that's why they targeted. But even as we look at, that first video that I showed you guys, it looks like a lot of Hispanic workers. Even the video is in, Spanish. So I don't know if that influenced the decision or, there's a couple, different races and color. There's somebody, but I'm just saying as a whole, it seems like it's a heavily populated area. So maybe that could have influenced the factory shutting. I have no idea. I don't think so. I hope not. And I'm trying to get a benefit of the doubt. But if that is the case, that is a even deeper discussion to talk about.
So Tyson has 4 plants total in the state of Nebraska, but let's talk about the one in Lexington that's closing after the announcement yesterday. It's going to close in January of 2026, and it's a loss of 3,200 jobs. It sits in a rural community that the city, it's not really a city, it's a town, that it sits in has anywhere between 10 and 12,000 residents. The census says 10. And that's a third of the community. That's going to impact all of the local businesses and service providers in that area. And they're going to see a huge drop in foot traffic and money coming in. And most of those will probably go belly up too. It will probably cause that town to become a ghost town because things are going to close and people are going to leave. Yep. But let's talk about the other 3 plants that still reside in Nebraska. They have a tendency to employ people that are going through the immigration process. Now, it doesn't mean they're illegal. It means that they're going through immigration. Yeah. And they have these registration ID cards and whatever. But if our state is going to align with the policies of going after immigrants who are hardworking people but aren't currently naturalized, then their employee pool is pretty reduced because the average citizen that was born here doesn't usually work at those plants. It's hard work. It's really hard, nasty work for low pay. And
then we're going to stay right there for just a second. Yes, it's really hard, nasty work for low pay. And I even see a lot of the people in some of these videos where, especially like the North Carolina videos in Charlotte, where they're like, oh, just pay the American workers more. Just pay them more and that you'll get the people to work there. How much do you think they're supposed to pay the workers, right? Like they're paying exactly what the job is worth. But at the same time, it's just a heavily intense job that you have to do because there's not $1 billion that you bring in every hour from certain businesses like this. So you have to just pay and people just have to work. But the people that come up and show up to jobs like this, they are here to make a better life for themselves, regardless of if they are citizens or not. But also, I'm gonna leave it right here. When I see things like this happen to states like this, guys, they voted for a lot of these policies. They heavily support a lot of these policies and a lot of these decisions. So when we see things like this, it all makes sense. It connects the dots as to why they're seeing a lot of these impacts and a lot of these policies take over the rural states, the rural counties.
I wouldn't be surprised if they choose to move the other 3 plants out of the state because our politicians, Senator Fisher, Senator Ricketts, and the 3 representatives, Adrian Smith, Don Bacon, and Mike Flood, are heavily aligned with this current administration. And even our governor, Pillard, also aligns with the top dog. And since they do, they're aligning with the policies and passing policies in this state. We have the Cornhusker Clink, which is...
Yeah, and I think she's speaking from the citizen's perspective. I think she actually lives there as a resident. But like I said, I'm not promoting any of this to happen. And sorry for the video being so close. I'm still trying to figure out how we can, make it to where it's not so close to the screen. Whatever. I'm working on it. But anyways, It sucks to see what is happening to a lot of these states, a lot of these counties, because at the end of the day, when you see videos like this, when you see plants closing down, you see factories shutting down and laying off entire teams and entire workers, when you see things like that, that shows a bigger story that a lot like it means you need to outscale it and widen your scope to see what is going on around. Because like she said in this video, that town right there probably only had 3 factories to begin with. Now you shut down 2. Now you got all those people trying to flood into those 2 factories. You got less money coming into the city. You got others like stores, grocery stores, and other things within the city that are going to be affected as well by this layoff.